Welcome.
It's time for the further adventures of Indiana Jones.
Some of the greatest adventures of my life are sitting in this beauty.
Big deal.
Pack your bag, grab your passport, and prepare to go globetrotting with Marvel Comics' classic four-color adventures of Indiana Jones.
Oh, your teacher.
Part-time.
Mr. Henry Jones, Jr. of Princeton, New Jersey.
I like Indiana.
We named the dog Indiana.
Now, what shall we talk about?
Welcome once again, IndyCast listeners, to the further adventures of Indiana Jones. I'm Joe Stuber, and joining me as always is Keith Voss.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, the cocktails are flowing with the opening of a new nightclub in town, and we get the return of an Indy fan favorite.
Yeah, it was something that the readers for Further Adventures of Indiana Jones back in the day were clamoring for, and it was something odd. Obviously, who are we talking about, Keith?
We're talking about Marion Ravenwood, of
Marion
course.
Ravenwood returns. Yeah, you think it'd be a no-brainer after Raiders of the Lost Ark, but yeah, 5 issues
took
no
them
Marion.
5 issues. Took them 5 issues to get her back. I mean, yeah, if you read any of the Readers of the Lost Ark letters, everybody was just clamoring for Marion. I mean, I can't blame them. I mean, I wanted Marion back too right away, but I wonder why they waited so long.
No, I don't know. We talked about that in some of the interviews we've had with some of the participants, and everyone was like, I don't know. It just didn't happen for whatever reason until Michelini took over, which obviously once he's in the mix, there's a few issues that you have to go through until you get there. So there's probably some things in the planning stages. But yeah, he was the first one to bring her back. But yeah, it seemed like a no-brainer to me just because she was such a huge part of Raiders. And then that closing scene.
They don't know what they've got there.
Well, I know what I've got here. Come on. Buy a drink. You know. A drink?
It was just this open-ended, well, where do they go next?
Yeah, well, we find out in this issue she's back, and it's a little interesting their relationship, how it's portrayed in this issue. It's more of a business relationship, but we'll get more into that later as we go along.
Yeah, apparently that drink, she's a drink. Well, that turned into something a lot bigger.
It turned into something
drink,
else. I guess they while they had that drink, they had a discussion about opening up a new nightclub in New York City.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, the red line brings us from London, which is where we were in the last couple of issues, to New York City.
Yeah, go ahead and give us the breakdown on the creators behind this issue.
Yeah, we have the Further Adventures of Indiana Jones number 6, Club Nightmare, with a June 1983 cover date. The cover was by Howard Chaykin and Terry Austin. They give us a gem, in my opinion. Script by David Michelini, with a nod of the fedora to Archie Goodwin. We'll get into that later. Layouts by Howard Chaykin. Finishes by Terry Austin. Colors by Bob Sharon. And letters by Joe Rosen.
Go to the cover. You like it. What do you like about it?
Well, I mean, after the release of all the movies, this just gives me a huge Last Crusade vibe. I mean, it's action-packed. You got Indy jumping onto a boat. I love the way he's lit. The gun flashes are lighting him. You got Marion on a boat in the background. I think it's an amazing cover. I love it. I think
you're selling me on it. I mean, we talked about this before we started recording. You're starting to sell me on it. I just wasn't as blown away. I just think there are some other covers that were more interesting. Just a lot of blue. I mean, it sells that it takes place at night, which is what we'll show, which is what they show later on in the issue. But I mean, I think Chaykin and Austin really give us a gem of a cover here. Like I said, very action packed. I do like the lighting. I do like you had mentioned that. That was
great.
A drawback of the previous covers where we talked about, especially with Ron Friends, how he mentioned about the lighting was a little off. Yeah, I like how the lighting throws off the shadows and how it illuminates Indy's face from the gunfire, and just with the return of Marion, it just seems like that little I don't know, wasn't a big deal made about it. Even
well, yeah, you're obviously not sure who that is in the other boat. I mean, it could be anyone.
Maybe shouldn't you be? I mean, this is big. This is what the readers were asking for, and then we just got this little Marion.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I just there are things I love about it, and there are things that I really dislike about it. So just overall, I give it a 5 out of 10. Just for that aspect, that it's a mixed bag for me. So, and I think
I got you. But like I mentioned before, action wise, this is up until this point in the series. This is my favorite cover of the series. Okay. But yeah, you're right. There should have been a little bit more of a big deal made about Marion. But I mean, as soon as you open up the book, I mean, the splash page just mentions immediately about the opening of the Raven's Nest. But before that, we actually get something pretty interesting. We get a little paragraph that goes into the time. It tries to bring
they always
bring
did
us
that
into
in Marvel, with the little, the background of Spider-Man, the background of Captain America. They always give you, like, just, hey, if you're a new reader, here's this little backstory.
Sure. And
which
this
they
time
hadn't done up to this point.
Right, and this time we get something about Indiana Jones, and it's actually the first, it's the first time, and it's the only time in the entire series that we get this. And it says, clouds of war gather ominously over Europe. The Great Depression grips the world, but one globe-trotting archaeologist's thirst for adventure and discovery remains undaunted by his times.
That's a great line. I'm sure that's Michelini. Yeah, why not continue to use that? But yeah, it was abandoned after this. I don't know.
Really surprising, but I mean, oh well. At least we got it once.
Stan Lee presents the first. Yeah, I mean, that's just that's so Marvel for that time.
It's very Marvel. It works.
And as always, before we review the issue,
there she is. Too bad Indy and Marion didn't have her at the end of the issue.
We do get Club Nightmare, and we talk about the return of Marion. There she is.
Yeah, there's no fanfare. It's just right straight into the adventure. We got a car. Is it a runaway car? Is somebody aiming for her?
They're up to something because, as you pointed out, the license plate is taped off. So there's some shenanigans going on there.
I mean, I guess they don't want us to track down whoever it was, but no. I mean, the opening splash page is interesting. We're like I said, we're immediately introduced to Marion. They're opening the Raven's Nest, which is supposed to be the hottest new hotspot on Manhattan's fashionable East Side.
I thought that was kind of cool, just a nice throwback to Raiders, that it's like, hey, the place burned to the ground. Obviously she, and she makes reference to this later in the adventure too, that she got some cash out of the whole Raiders of the Lost Ark mess. Why not open up a nightclub? That's what she does.
That's perfect. And, that runaway car is about to run her over, and she gets saved again.
Yeah, she's always in peril, always in peril.
Yes. And I mean, there's really no actual MacGuffin in this one-shot issue, but we do have Indy's real treasure, which we find out in Crystal Skull, and it's Marion. Marion's back.
Yeah, I mean, they waste no time getting into this adventure. So yeah, we've got the car crash. Indy tackles Marion out of the way, smashes through. And they're kind of over it pretty quickly. It's almost like, that's what happens, Again, exactly. We mentioned that in the last segment, is that, hey, he's used to it. Happens to him all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of stuff happens to them all the time, so they're kind of used to it at this point. Oh, runaway car, whatever. It's New York City, crazy drivers,
But Marion does suspect something, though.
Yeah, she does suspect something, but we're not quite let in on what it is she suspects, and we're brought inside the Raven Bar, and that's where we're introduced to Jamal. Yeah,
a new character coming in, and a dealer in antiquities, rare antiquities, and interior decorator, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the inside of the Raven looks pretty cool. It's obviously history based, all kinds of funny little artifacts put around. We have somebody working on the interior decorating, singing the Flatfoot Floogie with the Floy Floy.
Oh, that's it.
Boys, how about a little Flatfoot Floogie?
With the Floy Floy?
Yes, Floy Floy.
With the Floy Floy.
Oh, well, a one, a two.
A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floy Floy. A Flatfoot Floogie with the Floy Floy.
Michelini setting us in the time, and we looked this up. We Googled it as well. It's from 1938, so we're a little bit ahead of our times, but who's gonna carp? I mean, it's setting the time period. It's a jazz song. Originally written and performed by Slim Gaillard.
Gaillard, I think.
I thought it was interesting. One of the things I thought was it was originally called Flatfoot Floozy, but couldn't get radio play, so they changed it to Floogie. And Keith, what's Floy Floy?
Oh, you're gonna make me say that? Well, the Floy Floy is slang for a venereal disease.
What is up with that? I mean, bouncy little jazz ditty about venereal disease.
Hey, it was the 30s. Anyway, so
this dude likes it. He's singing it.
He likes it. I prefer the Louis Armstrong and the Mills Brothers version, which was a very cool song.
Not the Jacksons 1970s version from their show.
No. So
all right, so, yeah. We're moving on from Michael Jackson then.
So we find out that Indy and Jamal have a little bit of a history with each other.
I don't know about this history though. This makes Indy seem a little suspect. I mean, I read this a couple times and I don't know.
Especially after the history that we get, Indy's history, which was revealed to us in the last Crusade. With his philosophy of it belongs in a museum. It seems that Jamal was mixed up in a little illegal artifact ring in his antiquity shop, and Indy, I guess, I don't know, it's never really made clear.
I guess these things have to be registered. From what we're finding out, it's like these antiques that come in, they're being brought in, they have to be registered. If they're not, so he's got some shady dealings. He's not registering these artifacts for whatever reason, and the cops were none too happy about it.
Yeah, exactly. And he's Jamal is supplying the decor as a repayment for the Raven's Nest, and it seems
Indy helped him out, somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And Jamal makes a pretty crazy comment about he would kill anyone who tried to spoil the opening. He's obviously very worried about what just happened to Marion, and it's a little strange.
Is this guy you want decorating the place?
Yeah, maybe, but then in the next panel we get the kind of James Bond Indy again, Indy in a tux, and we found out that he's a silent partner in the Raven's Nest.
I'm your partner.
And Marion makes a pretty interesting comment that she put every nickel that she made from that Lost Ark mess into this club. So we get another mention of the Ark, but the only thing she didn't count on was Emil Marco.
Yeah, another new character that comes in, this mobster, who basically wants to use Marion's new nightclub as a front for the mob.
Yeah, for some gambling operations, but we'll get to him. We'll get to him later.
Let's talk about the artwork too a little bit as we go through, because I don't want to get too far past this because I like changing things up a little bit. It doesn't always have to look exactly like Indiana Jones. I'm just a little bit, I don't know. I just don't think it looked much like Harrison Ford, especially when you look at the area where they're talking about, Marco and him being a silent partner and Indy being a silent partner. And that. Marion just looks a little odd there, just when she's peeking around the corner. The next panel, a little bit better. I mean, you've got the freckles. You've got those.
Yeah, the next. I know the one you're talking about when she says, "Come on, Jones, give me a break." After all, it looks a little bit more like Marion there, but it's a little off. You're right. I think it's actually very stylish. The artwork in this issue.
It's a little bit like the Joker to me in that one panel. I don't. It's just it from panel to panel. I like it. I don't like it. This issue, I'm going to say right up front, it's a mixed bag with me. It really is.
Yeah,
there are parts of it I just love, and there are parts of it I just really dislike. And I think I go back to issue 3 with the one shot. It was just so bug nuts crazy that I had to love it, just because it was bug nuts crazy. But it's this one. It's good. It's good. It's a mixed bag for me. But yeah, some of the artwork I'm just kind of suspect. But yeah, I mean, we've got Marion there, and they head back out into the club.
You got the band with the King Tut headdresses.
Yeah, we're Steve Martin.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting stuff. So you got the newly opened Raven's Nest. Marion, man, she's still pounding drinks like she can still pound them with the best of them. She just
she might have a problem.
I mean, look at that. She's drinking old fashions like they're going out of style.
I mean, yeah, she grabs one off the thing and then knocks the other one back, and it's like, "Oh, did you want one, Indy?" It's like, "Yeah, I guess, but not really." But yeah, she might have a problem.
Yeah,
there might be. Yeah, if this were today, she might have to go to like AA or something like that. But
yeah, that's true.
It's just a little strange to be pounding drinks like that. Unless she's got nerves.
Also, it looks like Indy kind of like respects it a little bit when look
it's
at
the 30s.
Yeah, it's the 30s. He's like, not bad. But we get another little anachronism here where Marion is going to introduce their special guest.
Who could that be?
I mean, it's never said by name who it's actually supposed to be, but by her description, I mean, we all know she's talking about Frank Sinatra.
I have discovered a young man. He's got good stage presence, great set of pipes. He's Italian.
According to the Indiana Jones wiki, in reality, Sinatra had not started his career at the time. It says, though he worked as a singing waiter in New Jersey, he wouldn't have yet achieved the status that Marion attributes to him at this early date. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's not even officially stated when this takes place. I mean, it could be in 1938, but I mean, it's also told to us. I
think the timeline for the series goes
it's
to
36 and 37.
Yeah. So I mean,
exactly.
They're playing a little bit. Michelini's playing a little bit with the timeline, but I'm okay with it.
I mean, it happens. It happens.
It's kind of cool to think that. I mean, it's almost like a Forrest Gump moment, because you think that Frank Sinatra's there and Indy crosses paths with all. I mean, we saw that play out in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles too. Where he just runs into all the. Well, is he going to run into all these people? No, but you kind of buy into it.
Yeah, exactly. And it would have been pretty cool to have Sinatra actually
Sinatra does
at the Raven's Nest.
Yeah, Sinatra doesn't hit the stage though, but something else does hit the stage.
Yeah, that big pillar. Geez, like the way this played out, like this sequence of events, I had to read it a couple of times to actually get what Indy actually did here. With, I mean, it's very fantastic.
Well, I mean, it's cool because they're trying to get this action, adventure, swinging, Indy, moving around kind of thing. But again, it would have been easier just to knock Marion out of the way, but they already did that in the first couple panels with the car. Sure.
Indy saves her life again. He throws the sandbag and the rope around the column.
Yeah.
And changing the direction towards Indy. And the column comes down with a crash. Not exactly as graceful as Errol Flynn, as Indy puts it, but it worked.
Yeah. A lot of physics involved. There's too much physics involved for me.
Yeah, they send everybody home. They say, we're sorry, folks. Sorry for the inconvenience. The show's been canceled. I mean, I guess Sinatra would have been pretty upset at this point. But in interest of good business, they issue rain checks at the door, and they'll reopen in a few days with complimentary cocktails for everyone. And Marion thinks it's the work of Emil Marco.
Yeah, Marco didn't seem to be too fazed by the fact that a pillar just crashed to this. I mean, he's still sitting there knocking back drinks and eating his steaks.
He's eating his steak. I mean, I guess
he doesn't really care. So, I mean, that's the perception, is that, that's because he's behind this whole thing. And Indy squares off against the mob here.
Yeah. Again, that takes some pretty big ones, if you ask me. He just pulls the cigar right out of the guy's mouth and tells him, "Hey, get out. Dinner's over."
Yeah.
But that's the Indy that we know. Indy would do that. That's like, it's very much in character.
He would, but Marco's claiming innocence. He says he has nothing to do with this. Look, Marion told him no. She doesn't want to get in dealings with the mob. So he's saying, look, I'm just here, out of support. I just want to eat my steak dinner, and they kind of move on. But so, I mean, either he's behind it or somebody else is. Indy's always suspicious, and he, kind of goes Scooby-Doo here and starts doing a little sleuthing.
Yeah, he does, and he discovers some interesting fragments which become very relevant later on in the story. And we get later Indy and Marion riding through Central Park, eating some hot dogs in true New York fashion.
Yeah, a few days later, and I thought this was kind of cool. And they're taking a horse-drawn carriage through Central Park in wintertime, and Indy's knocking back some hot dogs, and she just kind of like busts his chops over it. It's like, yeah, cheap date. It's like, really? I mean, that's, I thought it was kind of cool. I thought, it's cheap but classy. It's like, well, there's a backhanded compliment, I guess, but whatever.
Yeah, but that's Marion. Marion's very sharp-tongued, man. Do you expect anything less from Marion? I mean, honestly, well,
at the end of Raiders, I mean, she got her man, and it's almost like there's this love affair starting, and it's just like, I guess, I don't know.
But maybe nothing ever really happened, so she still holds a little bit of a grudge. And
he saved her life twice, though.
Yeah, but it's Marion.
It's
Marion.
All right.
So you get like a Clark Kent vibe with Indy here. I mean,
he does look a little like Clark Kent,
right? I mean, and I got to say, I'm not so crazy about the way Indy's drawn here.
I told you, the artwork to me was a mixed bag. We get the blow dart, it's shot, the horse spooks, and then there's a shot of Indy in the bottom right panel there that just looks awful. I mean, he looks like he's 80 years old. He looks like he's constipated.
Chapped lips.
I don't know what's going on there. The hat's I don't know. I
think it's supposed to simulate like the wind blowing in his face, like the horse is running away. He's got a pained look on his face. But I mean, they could have done that way better.
He looks like Clint Eastwood now.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, I'm not great on that artwork.
It looks like Harrison Ford now.
Forget Clint Eastwood.
Forget Clint Eastwood. It looks like Indy now.
You just offended so many Indy listeners right now.
Yeah, well,
All right. So the horse spooks, and actually I kind of like Indy's look here, though. In these panels, he's got the tweed jacket. It's like a new look for Indy. We've got the fedora, but we've got the glasses, tweed jacket, sweater vest. Something different.
Sweater vest, tie.
I want a sweater vest like that.
His glasses, and he grabs the
riding
whip, which is interesting. It's not exactly his bullwhip, but it's something.
No, it works. The horse is spooked. It's running away, so he's able to latch onto a branch, saves Marion. Hey, as long as it can hold their weight just for a few seconds, he's good to go. And they still think it's Marco. They still think he's behind all this thing.
She's really just totally convinced that Marco is completely behind all this. And up to this point, we don't really know that he's not.
No, you would assume that he is because he's the mobster behind this.
He's the mobster, exactly.
Yeah, so that evening, sneaking onto the estate, Marion pays Marco a visit. She's just going to go in and have a chat with him. But Indy's still in sleuth mode. He still wants to go in. And what did you think of the little reference there as they sneak onto Marco's estate, the sign, Society of Friends of Italian Opera?
Oh, that was interesting.
Nice little Something Like It Hot reference.
You don't understand. I'm good. I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, Some Like It Hot. It may be a reference to the film's Mobsters. I don't know.
Yeah, because they have Friends of the Italian Opera. It was from the movie. It was a front for the mob. And Something Like That. Great movie, by the way. I don't know if
that is a great movie. So. That is a great movie. It's very, very interesting that when Indy sneaks in, I love that he uses a steak. The dogs aren't buying it. The dogs are like, yeah, okay.
Whatever. We get steak all the time, dude.
But we get a great Looney Tunes moment here, right out of a Bugs Bunny or Tweety and Sylvester cartoon. Indy uses alum.
Now let's see about a little something for that throat. Open wide. That's the nice fat opera singer.
Figaro, Figaro,
Figaro, Figaro, Figaro, Figaro.
And I love
Who uses alum? Yeah, that was the last time. That was the only time I've ever seen alum used was in Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes, exactly, and now Indiana Jones. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and I didn't even know. To this day. I've seen it in like every cartoon, but it's like I never really understand what it is. It says it's any of various double sulfates of a trivalent metal such as aluminum, chromium, or iron.
What? What is that you're saying?
It's widely used in industry as clarifiers, hardeners, and purifiers.
Yeah, it also. I also read somewhere that it was used to shrink cucumbers to pickles. Obviously it has some type of puckering effect. You could see it in the dog's face. And even in any of those Bugs Bunny or
I do like that artwork.
It's hilarious.
I
got a good laugh out of that. But Indy makes sure to tell us that it won't do any permanent damage, but it should keep the dogs off his back for a while. And we get a couple of opera references in here too. They mention the rousing finale of Rigoletto from a state-of-the-art high-fidelity system. I don't know how state-of-the-art it was in 1936, but I guess for that time it must have been pretty good for a very rich high-class mobster.
Yeah, and so Marion's paying him a visit. She just basically wants to find out what's going on with this, and she she doesn't go full Marion on him of just like getting in his face, but is kind of like, oh yeah, we're both interested in the arts, and so they start talking about opera. He's got opera playing. He starts talking about his love of opera and her love of opera.
Well, Marion's smart. She hits him where it hurts. She picks up that Caruso, the original wax recording. She
David
knows
Caruso?
how much she. No. Enrico Caruso.
Enrico Palazzo?
Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo!
That is a great reference, by the way. A quite priceless wax recording of Enrico Caruso. I mean, Marion knows
Enrico Caruso.
Enrico
that
Caruso. That Caruso. Not David Caruso, Enrico Palazzo. Come on. I mean, Marion
It's time for the fat lady to sing. So she realizes this is a very priceless possession of Marco's because he says it's a priceless possession of it.
Yeah, she knows where to hit them hard, man. Really, she knows how to hit Indy where it hurts. She knows how to hit Marco where it hurts, and she just.
Well, she's got her hands on this priceless object right now, so it's kind of like, where is this going to go? But speaking of Indy, he's in the back again doing that sleuthing. He's tearing through Marco's office trying to find some files and find some information about him.
Yeah, Indy the sleuth, pretty cool. We don't get so much of that, and it was pretty cool to see Indy kind of like sneaking around behind the scenes. I really like that. But he is caught, unfortunately. He uses one of those filing cabinets to get out of a pretty tough situation.
Yeah, it pulls the drawer out and shoves it right into the bodyguard's chest, and gunshots going off. Indy.
Why didn't he use the alum right there? I
mean, he might have been out of it. He used a lot on the dogs.
He used. Yeah, that's true. He might have been out at this point, but I mean, how classic would it have been? Throw the alum in the guy's face. Nice pucker, and then he's out of there.
Yeah, he crashes through the window and freaks Marco out because he hears things going on and.
Yeah, I think anytime a mobster is hearing gunshots in his estate, I think he's going to get a little worried.
He does, but what draws his attention is the Caruso album. Marion, we said she had it in her hands. Now she's holding it hostage. She holds a gun to it, Caruso's head.
Yeah, I mean, how did she get into a mobster, like a pretty well-known mobster's house with a gun? How did that even happen? But
the same way anything in comics happens, very quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Very quickly, don't ask questions, Keith. Just keep moving on.
Exactly. So they escape.
She flings the record.
I love how she flings the record. I mean, that's a great panel. You see him diving for it, and that's a great panel. I love that.
And of course, right into the speedboats.
Right into the speedboats. God, this is right out of Last Crusade, isn't it? I mean, if they didn't get the idea for Last Crusade right out of this, I mean, I don't know where they got it from, but.
So they take off in the speedboat, and somebody comes running up. Somebody else has a speedboat. Now there's a speedboat chase.
Exactly.
Like you said, Last Crusade, and we've got Marion's line.
We got a great shootout though. We got Indy pulling out his revolver. He's shooting at this masked person who's shooting back at him, and we get Marion's line of "Are you crazy?" So again, straight out of Last Crusade. We get Elsa saying "Are you crazy?" as well.
Tell me, Freedom, are you crazy?
And then we get a panel.
He's basically saying, "Steer closer, get closer to go into the danger." What are you crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
No, have you met Indiana Jones?
Yeah, seriously. And we get a panel that's, basically the cover. I mean, how often do you get that?
Rarely, and I do give credit for that. I do like when the cover actually matches something that's going on in the book, and this is straight out of it. So I mean, it's pretty cool. Exactly. Indy leaps off of the one speedboat onto the. I mean, again, just like Last Crusade, we've got a lot of these books are foreshadowing events that we see in the movie. That's what's the coolest thing is reading these now and looking back on them. It's so cool to see that. And Indy does the flying tackle, which I love. He kind of did that in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull too, on the through the jungle chase. I just kind of love that leaping, punching action. Indy.
Yeah.
And sees this knife, this very unusual knife.
Interesting knife, yeah, the Kris or Keris, asymmetrical dagger or sword that's most strongly associated with the culture of Indonesia, but also indigenous to Malaysia, southern Thailand, and Brunei. It's a weapon and a spiritual object, and they're often considered to have an essence or presence, considered to possess magical powers, with some blades possessing good luck and others possessing bad. I mean,
just like every mobster has, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Indy knows something's up at this point. He sees a knife. We get a great little fight scene here.
The speedboats are going. Marion's yelling from the one.
The speedboat's out of control. But the gunman who Indy was just tangling with just jumped ship. Gonna worry about him later. Indy has to worry about not
heading right for the rocks.
Now. Exactly. So again, we get another great little action scene. The way that the layout here is really, really well done. And we get a perfectly timed jump with Marion jumping into Indy's boat, and we get a huge explosion, and of course, we get Marion and Indy getting away, and Indy finally realizes that Marco was not behind these attacks, and he never was. But,
no, there's too much evidence pointing to somebody else.
But Indy thinks he knows who is involved here.
Yeah, and he, and Marion kind of wonders, well, what's going on? So they head to, of course, Jamal's curio shop, and Marion's like, well, why did you suspect Jamal this whole time? It's like blow darts, Chris Knott. Look, those aren't weapons of mobsters.
Yeah, those aren't conventional weapons. Those are oddities, and it's seemingly what Jamal deals in.
Yeah, and also the files that he found, he was ordering all this gambling material, and then he just canceled all the orders.
Sure.
So he wasn't going to use it as a front. He wasn't trying to do anything with the Raven's Nest, and he wasn't trying to use it. Marion said no. It's like, look, that's fine. I'm just going to go back and listen to my opera. Leave me alone.
I mean, Indy is not like we said, Indy is not a dummy. He's putting two and two together, and all this like kind of crazy little comments that Jamal's making. These very odd weapons.
Yeah.
Of course he's gonna suspect Jamal.
Yeah, he puts two and two together and comes up with dynamite.
Yeah, he does. He comes up with a box of blasting caps. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So we cut back to the Raven's Nest, and we see Jamal there planting some blasting caps and some dynamite. I mean, he wants to blow this place to smithereens. What's going on here?
He ran into some trouble, and he didn't learn anything from it. He still wants to deal in these illegal antiquities. He's obviously making a lot of cash for these things that don't have to be registered. He doesn't have to pay any taxes on them. But he's hiding these illegal antiquities, these illegal objects, in the Raven decoration.
Yeah,
he's doing some interior decorating work, but this is where he's stashing all this stuff. So he's the one that's using the Raven's Nest as a front.
Absolutely. I mean, I love Marion's comment too when they discover Jamal planting the dynamite. Really interesting stuff. She goes, "It is legal to shoot burglars in New York, isn't it, Jones?" I mean, she just wants him to blow him away.
Let's not even talk to him. Yeah, no jury trial or anything. Just kill him. She's very tough, very tough.
But am I the only one that I felt a little bad for Jamal when you're reading his explanation? He's saying how his business isn't going well. He needs money. You kind of feel a little bad for the guy, but I mean, he is insane. He's tried to kill Jones and Marion already.
No, I thought he was a wingnut from the moment he's introduced in the comic, and I was wondering why Indy even bothered with him. Just because, and the thing is, he could have asked Indy for help. I mean, Indy's obviously got some cash flow.
Yeah, he helped him once before. Why would he help?
He's just bad. Yeah, he's bad. He ends up being worse than the Hood. He confronts Indy, tackles him. He and Indy get into a fist fight.
Yeah, we get a good fight scene here, actually. Like, he throws one of those.
Unusually strong. It reminds me of Prospero. I mean, he's just like, he really gets the jump on Indy. So
I think Jamal is driven. He does not want to get caught. He wants he wants to get away with this. So he has real motive and purpose, and he's driven, like I said. And Indy is just, he's all defense at this point. He gets
the upper hand on Indy. I mean, Indy doesn't really have a chance in this fight. I mean, he's down, and then
Indy mentions greed and adrenaline make a heck of a combo. Yeah, he's greedy, and he's hopped, and Jamal is hopped up on adrenaline right now. So
it's up to Marion to lend a hand. She grabs a stick of dynamite, just sneaks up behind Jamal, and just takes him out with a stick of dynamite across the back of the skull.
Yeah, but this is also another thing, kind of, did you get another Raiders vibe here, where the original Raven went up in flames, and now the Raven's Nest is also going up in flames, and you got a fight, and, there's flames all around them. She comes up from behind the guy and wallops him over the head. Yeah. Very much a Raiders vibe again.
Yeah, so we see, history repeating itself here, and she says, "Cut the gab, Jones, this place is coming down around our ears." Yeah, and then let's all get out of there, and then Jamal pulls a Mac. He stays behind to grab all these artifacts. Look, these are illegal. You're not going to get anything from anyway. You're busted, dude. And he's gone. So he stays behind trying to grab all these artifacts like Mac does, and fares about as well as Mac did.
I'm gonna be all right, but he's not.
He's not.
The place goes up. Shrakataka boom.
Shrakataka boom. There's a good onomatopoeia there.
I mean, that's a good one. I mean, the
classic Marvel onomatopoeia.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And poor Marion. I mean, she's just not a good, business owner.
No, she probably shouldn't own a business.
You should know.
These just don't work out well. I mean, she can't even get the name right.
No, she can't. Yeah, and apparently neither can the letterer, because it's interesting.
Something with the sign. What happened to the sign? We saw it being built in panel 1, and now all of a sudden we get to the end. They named it wrong.
Yeah, and we'll put this up on the Further Adventures Facebook page too, and maybe we'll send it to Ed for the Flickr page. But in the original comic, like if you look at the sign, it says Raven West, but in the omnibus, I guess George Lucas isn't the only one going in and correcting his earlier work, because in the omnibus it's corrected to Raven's Nest.
Yeah, we have the special edition issue 6.
Exactly. We have the special edition, and interesting stuff. So I guess they noticed that mistake. I guess in the original issue, maybe I don't know if they might have done that on purpose so that so the readers can write in and maybe get a no prize. I don't know if you remember those, the no prize.
I never got one though.
Yeah, I never got one either. But I mean, Marvel always did that. They always maybe put little things in, and if you noticed them, you wrote in and say, hey, this is wrong. Hey, this shouldn't be how it is, and you got a no prize.
And I don't think we can blame Chaykin for this, because it looks like the artwork is the signage, and it looks like that's the lettering, because it's not structured artwork. It's just straight lettering,
exactly.
Which would have been Joe Rosen. So
so interesting. So if you have the omnibus and the original, take a look. It's like I said, it's pretty interesting that they went in and fixed that. But hey, pretty cool. It's a fix that I think is fine. I mean, I have no problems with that. Yeah. But there is just one little thing, Joe.
Oh, poor Marion. I mean, she's broke again, right?
She's broke. She forgot to get the insurance.
Ah, poor Marion. I guess it's up to Indiana Jones to save the day again.
And he does. He took out a policy, and I love his line. You forget that I was there in Nepal. I've seen what happens to your business ventures, and boy, is he right. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but he kind of started that whole thing in Nepal. I mean, it was kind of his fault.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, he blamed Marion. Why not?
Why not? He's quite a guy.
He is quite a guy. And what we have next, Africa Screams.
Overall, I liked issue 6. I'm just not wild about it.
I liked it too. It was a good little in between from issue 5 going into issue 7. It was a nice attempt at getting Indy and Marion back together, reintroducing us to the character.
A good filler issue, but again, just a filler issue. I would have liked to have a little bit more of an introduction to Marion. I would have liked to learn a little bit about what happened after that final scene in Raiders. Just something bigger, something splashier. But overall, it was a pretty good adventure. It was a good adventure. A mixed bag. I'm just okay with it.
A lot of fun, something different. And, I mean, hey, it's Indiana Jones and Marion back together again.
Yeah. And listeners, we want to hear from you. We want to find out what your opinion was on this issue or any of the issues of Further Adventures of Indiana Jones. Keith, where can they send emails?
thefurtheradventures@gmail.com, and don't forget to check out our Facebook page at The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones. Lots of cool stuff up there, so come on over and give us a visit.
Oh, okay, that's it for the day then.
Well, as Indy says, that's all the time for today. Keith, another great job. Enjoyed the review of issue number 6. Looking forward to issue 7.
Always fun, and I can't wait to take that trip to Africa with you, Joe.
Yeah, and we've got some surprises coming up, too. We're working on a few surprises for this segment, so make sure everyone keeps listening in, and I think you'll enjoy what we have coming up on The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones.